you
Yes.
know. You would sit around waiting for the client. My wife and I went to see the George Rogers National Park in Vincennes, Indiana. And it was the time where the government was taking over and so they had a bidding process. And
I'll call the meeting of the McHenry County Zoning Board of Appeals to order. The reason for our hearing today is application number 2024-041. The applicant is Brent Holenberg, and this is a request for an A1 agricultural district to an A1C agricultural district with a conditional use permit for a vacation rental. The address for this property is 8617 Ridgefield Road, Crystal Lake. It's a 2.97 acre tract located on the south side of Ridgefield Road at its intersection with Madison Street in Door Township. There are 2 PIN numbers associated with this application. They are 13-25-127-002 and 13-25-127-007. At this time, I'll have the members of the Zoning Board of Appeals introduce themselves in the township in which they reside, starting on my left.
Mary Donner, Greenwood Township.
Robert Cozen, Algonquin Township.
Charlie Eldridge, Richmond Township.
I'm Linnea Kustra in Alden Township.
Vicki Gardner, Nunda Township.
Kurt Schnabel, Riley Township.
Bill Karnick, Grafton Township.
This petition has been reviewed and the following items have been received prior to today's scheduled hearing. The publisher's certificate of publication from a newspaper is dated November 15, 2024, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The affidavit of posting was signed and the date posted was November 15, 2024, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. Affidavit of mailing was signed and the date mailed was November 14, 2024, and meets ordinance requirements. The survey has been checked against the petition, legal notice, and publication in the newspaper, and all 3 match. The filing fees have been paid. The endangered species consultation was not required for this petition, and the McHenry County Soil and Water Conservation District report has been received. This would be NRI number L24-064-4620. For those who have never attended a zoning hearing before, I just want to fill you in a little bit how this process works. So the petitioner presents their case to the board, why they think this application should be granted by the county board. After they're done with their presentation, they'll be asked questions from the board and maybe from staff. After that time, if there's any member of the public that has a question, it has to be regarding their testimony that you heard today. You will have up to 3 minutes to ask them questions regarding their testimony. And after that point, we will hear testimony from the public, starting with the staff. They will give us a report. And after that, if you have a comment on the petition, you will have 3 minutes to do that. So you have to remember the first opportunity you have is only to ask questions, not to give any opinions, just questions. But at the end of that, the second time you're given the opportunity, that's the time that you can offer an opinion on this petition. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. It's not a rally or anything, so no applause or, any kind of interruption in this hearing. And you will be sworn in. Anyone who wants to speak will have to be sworn in. So I'm asking anyone now, if you're going to ask a question or if you're going to be giving testimony, this meeting is recorded, I would want you to be sworn in. So if you would be doing that, please raise your right hand. Do you affirm that the testimony you give today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
Okay. So we will turn it over to the petitioner. If you would introduce yourself, sir, and then present your case.
Good afternoon, Jonathan Heyman on behalf of Brent Holenberg, who is the petitioner. So I have a brief introduction. I will go through the approval standards, and then I'll let Mr. Holenberg speak after that. So, as has already been indicated, we're here on behalf of the contract purchaser for the property at 8617 Ridgefield Road, requesting a conditional use permit allowing for the use of the property as a vacation rental. Currently, the property is owned by the McHenry County Jewish Congregation, and it was used as a place of worship up until recently. The Jewish congregation has moved and placed real estate up for sale. Mr. Hallenberg has made an offer contingent on approval for his use, for his intended use as a vacation rental. It's Mr. Hallenberg's intention to perform certain interior renovations to transform what was originally a school, then a place of worship, into a comfortable vacation rental living space for families. Additionally, he will perform certain work on the driveway requested by MCDOT, as well as complete the installation of a conforming septic system. The Crystal Lake, greater McHenry County area has very few vacation rentals for large families, and we believe this will fill in a need for our community in that sense. Ridgefield is the Ridgefield neighborhood that this is located in is mixed use, residential, commercial, agricultural, and the county's 2030 plan cites this area, including this parcel, as being of mixed use. And we would expect that use to have low impact on the surrounding area and neighborhood. So I will go through the standards. And I've sort of written this in a narrative form, but we believe the application meets the approval standards for conditional use permits, demonstrated the ability to conform with the standards contained in chapters 15 or 16.56 and 16.60. And the use of a vacation rental is a permitted, obviously with a conditional use within an A1 zoning district. And given the fact that property is located within a mixed use area currently is designated as mixed use by the county's 2030 plan, we believe the requested use is compatible with the existing and planned future development of the area. Given the property's intended use as a single vacation rental for families with no changes to the exterior or surrounding real estate, with the exception of the septic system and the MCDOT changes, we don't believe this will be detrimental to public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare, nor would it be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the surrounding property. Again, since the property is located in mixed use currently, it'd have no effect. We don't believe it would have any effect on the neighboring property values, as it is currently used as a religious space, would be converted to a living space for vacation rentals. The property is currently properly served by utilities and other necessary services for its intended use, and all the egress, once the work is completed to make that standards for the cutting off of the circle drive, the ingress egress would comply. We don't believe this violates any other applicable regulations within the A1 zoning district. Groundwater is unaffected, and again, as mentioned and as Mr. Hallenberg will indicate in his testimony, we believe the public at large has benefited from the addition of a large single-family vacation rental, as there are such few options like this in Crystal Lake. So, Brent, would you like to talk about your experience with vacation rentals as well as your plans with this property in particular?
Yeah, so my name is Brent Hallenberg. I have some vacation, or they call them short-term rentals, in and around Crystal Lake, and one in Wisconsin as well. And we have usually the people coming through are families, or they grew up here, they're coming back for holidays. And a lot of my properties are single bedroom or 2-bedroom homes, so the 2-bed, 1-bath. I have one that's a 3-bedroom that sleeps 6 to 8 people, and that's about it. So what I'm seeing is a need for, bigger family. They have multiple kids, or the grandparents want to come with. They're usually separated or in like 3 to 4 hotel rooms, and they just want one space that they can congregate while they travel, whatever reason they come into town for. And when I saw this property, it's a good central location for Woodstock, Ridgefield, Crystal Lake, Bull Valley, and it has a lot of easy access off Route 14 as well. So and it's a very cool building. It has a nice property that I think people would enjoy as they come travel. So,
That's all that we have.
Okay. We'll start with questions from the board, starting on my right. Mr. Koenig?
I gather that from what you've submitted, you're not going to be making any changes to the exterior of the building?
No, just cleaning it up and making the plants look nicer. And there is
You're saying the plants?
yeah, and it's just like they're overgrown a little bit, so
So
just
the
clean it up.
landscaping, how about the building itself?
None.
And I saw from your submittal, you plan on constructing 4 bedrooms?
Yeah, we'll probably do 3 or 4 bedrooms in there. We just still haven't figured out the permanent inside what we're gonna do yet, so,
And the kitchen facility?
yes.
And how many full bathrooms?
There's 2 communal ones right now, so we'll probably do a total of probably 3. So we'll probably add 1.
You said communal, so this would be provide services to what, to 2 bedrooms when you say communal, or?
Yeah, so the front 2 old classrooms when the building was first built, because it didn't have any plumbing at all when it was first built. And when they added on, they added a men's and a women's bathroom. So in those front 2, we're planning on just doing bathrooms in those rooms themselves, so like en suites, and then taking one of the existing bathrooms and making that one just like for the common area.
Okay. And you said short-term rentals?
Yeah.
Are you planning on any rentals for just a day?
No.
Okay, the reason I ask is, I know Airbnb or whatever, talk about a lot of horror stories about people renting out a facility and throwing a big party and the police show up and all of that. And I want to make
Right.
sure that doesn't happen there.
Yeah, I have heard that, and with my experience, I've been doing it 5 years. I have over 370 reservations, and those can go anywhere from minimum I do is 3 nights, but some people have been 6 months, so they're short to midterm. I haven't on some of the platforms you can list, because I do direct bookings as well, but on like Airbnb and VRBO, there's no events and no party policy on those sites. So that doesn't stop people from doing that, but in a lot of my properties too, I have noise sensors, so if the decibel level goes up too high, I get alerted, so then you know that something's happening,
So
so,
you're going to have that same monitoring device here as your plan?
yes, yeah.
So you mentioned some rentals as long as 6 months, so that's what, people waiting to move into a home, or?
The reasons people stay is things you'd never think of. So a lot of people are like, why would someone come and stay there? So it could be you're getting some people, not, I wouldn't say this size house, but some people, they are getting new windows in their house and they want somewhere to stay for the week while that happens, or new flooring, or they follow somebody on YouTube that is redoing their BMW motorcycle and they come from California and bring it and they stay in an Airbnb or short-term rental. A lot of it is people traveling because they have an event here as far as they're coming for a wedding, or they grew up here and they're coming back to visit family.
I saw that there's parking spaces up on the, what would be the northwest corner, northwest side
Yes.
on asphalt, is going to remain.
Yep.
And the circular drive, I think the county or IDOT or somebody says that you got to eliminate it.
Yes, because it's kind of awkward when if you were to pull out, because there's the 2 roads that Y there. So we're gonna rip up all the driveway there, and we have to put some kind of landscaping so no one could even think about driving and parking there.
My concern was about noise and generation, but I like the idea of this sound monitoring device. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Schnell.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Hollenberg. I would like to start with the nature of this piece of property's construction. What can you tell me about it? I mean, it looks like a 1950s two-bedroom ranch in the front, with a
Right.
huge addition on the back.
Right,
What can
yeah.
you tell me about the building itself?
So to the best of my knowledge, the front is, it's a old, I think it's a cement foundation on the front, and then all wood floors, wood construction. And then the back is all metal and masonry.
So when you say
Block
in the
construction.
front, you don't think there's a basement in that front house?
There's like a crawl that you can go in through a little hole, and
Okay.
I've looked through there with a flashlight, but I haven't gone in yet.
All right. Being that this was a public church type occupancy in the past, do you know, is there any type of fire alarm system in this right now?
I believe there is currently, yes.
You're probably counting on having to upgrade that when you've got sleeping quarters, but my main question, I think in that regard's been answered. You won't be having any bedrooms down in the basement because there isn't one.
Right, yeah, in the front there isn't, in the back there's, so you kind of come in like a multi-level house, so it kind of goes down, so there's like an English basement, so there's windows in the basement, but the front section doesn't have a basement.
I think that'll do it for me for the moment, thank you.
Ms. Gardner?
Thank you. I don't know if you can answer this one or not, but in the staff plat committee, an activity called indoor glamping was possible for this site. What is that? Do you know what that is?
Indoor glamping, it's pretty much, like in this room, you would just put a tent for like kids to sleep, so it's more like just fun.
Okay,
So it's like camping, but inside.
okay.
And they do it like in big cities, like in Lawson, New York and stuff, so,
I think I've actually done that somewhere. one time
yeah.
ago.
So it's like, if you like camping, but you really don't, but you want to kind of feel
That'd
like
be
you
me.
like camping. So we glamorous camping, yeah.
Yeah, either that or Hilton down the street, yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't actually own this yet, it's contingent on financing at this point, or what?
On approval of the permit for the use,
Okay.
yeah.
And I assume since you have done this before, is this your full-time business, or do you do something?
It is, yep.
Okay, so you do see a potential need for this use in this area?
Just based on, current or past guests, and then the options that are around here, are like there's one in Prairie Grove that's like a barn that was converted to like a 6-bedroom house that hosts people. There's one in Bull Valley, there's one in McHenry that are bigger properties with like indoor pools and stuff. We don't have an indoor pool, unfortunately. But
Those are more like bed and breakfasts though, or?
no, they're vacation rentals as
Oh,
well,
okay.
but I think they're already zoned like R1, so then they rent out for a week maybe, or usually a week,
Okay.
so.
So speaking of the zoning, what changed your mind from E2 to conditional use on the A1?
I think that was just after we researched with the county, what we had to reclassify it as. They just decided, because was dated back to 1800s, like it's grandfathered in, just to keep it A1. So,
Okay, I know that was a question for you, but I thought you might.
yeah.
How do you actually screen or vet your guests that come to these places?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So like through Airbnb and VRBO, like to even look on the site or like request a booking, you have to upload your driver's license, and then they run a soft credit check, background check on you.
Oh,
So even if you have like misdemeanors, or you're a felon, or you have any charges, it won't allow you to actually book a visit. And then I book directly through people that I've already dealt with through those platforms. So they actually do a background check on you.
so you use that software to do background checks on your potential guests?
So Airbnb and VRBO does, yes.
And you do or you don't? That's where I'm confused.
I don't do it personally, but if I direct book, it's already been done through
Through
that
one of
platform.
those options.
Right.
And if they have not used one of those options, do you do any further screening or?
No, unless it's my like mother-in-law, but I haven't done that background check on her. Maybe I should.
It wouldn't hurt, right?
Because we like putting her in an Airbnb when she comes in town. It's better for them.
Okay. I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Mr. Eldridge.
Looking at your site plan, there's a 1,200 gallon tank associated with your septic field. Does that exist, or is that something that's being added?
That is currently there.
Okay.
So it was, when it was
The whole
first,
septic system is as is present.
correct, but we have to put a whole new one in.
Oh, so you're going to be replaced, so the existing one is not going to remain, you're putting a new one in?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. To go back to your business a little bit, what are the total number of properties that you rent as vacation rentals?
Right now I have 9.
And what are the total number of bedrooms?
For all 9 properties?
Yeah.
That's a great question. One's a loft, so 0, but 1 bed. I'd say there's probably 13 bedrooms total in all 9 properties.
And do you have any idea what your occupancy rate is?
It's about 32%.
Okay. So heavily on weekends and not as much as you'd like on weekdays?
Yeah, the winter's really slow.
Yeah.
But holidays, they're usually booked. Some people will do a 1-night minimum, but I do a 3 just because it's not, I don't feel like it's worth my time to do it for just 1 night, because then we have to pay to clean it, and everything's professionally landscaped and done. Well, really the cleaning, and that's expensive. So usually like a 3-night minimum we do on all the properties. The bigger ones, I do like usually a 7-night.
And give me a range of a per night cost to rent one of these properties.
They range anywhere from 119 to 400 a night.
And for 400 a night, you can get, what, 2-3 bedrooms?
3 to 4 bedroom house, 3 baths, a yard, garage.
Are they all in the Crystal Lake area?
Yep. Well, I have one in Wisconsin, but 8 are here.
And do you anticipate moving or adding other communities either in McHenry County or Wisconsin?
Yes.
As you can, you'll keep adding, in other words.
As long as I can manage it. And I'm very picky with the properties. I want them to look nice, and I want to be able to stay there. So if it's really rough, I want it to be really nice.
How many properties do you think you could manage?
Probably comfortably like 15 total.
And do you think that the Crystal Lake area has a deep enough market to justify that, or will you have to go to other communities?
No, I think I've capped out close
You think-
to it. Yeah.
So Crystal Lake is about done as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that have like 1 or 2 Airbnbs, and then it's really diverse. Like there's a lot of, like some people have estates that they rent out, and I don't have any of those. But this would be the biggest one. But there is definitely a cap because only so many people want to come to Crystal Lake or Woodstock. Woodstock has a ton, but I'm not in Woodstock at all. So.
Okay, that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Mr. Cozen.
Thank you. Do you have a business name or go under a company name?
I do, yep.
And what would that be?
It's called Bregan Properties LLC.
And how does one find you,
Um,
your business?
Yeah. So usually just through the Airbnb or VRBO, or I book directly with them.
So if I was driving by that facility, I wouldn't know that it's a rental And I know that it's a rental associated with you.
Correct.
So there's no outward markings, there's no signage of sort.
Nope. And you don't, when you book it, you don't even get the address, so like, if someone were to book it a month out, they don't know where they're going until like a few days before they get the address.
Just to go further on that line, so if there was a family event and they wanted to be in the Ridgefield area, how would they find your facility in the Ridgefield area if there's no signage and so forth?
It gives you a general like pin of the area, but it's not like that exact house, because they don't want people like going there, because there could be other people there. They don't want anyone going to that property beforehand, so. It gives you like a generalized like triangle pin.
Yeah, if I may, that's Airbnb and VRBO. You don't, when you search those, you say, I want to stay in Crystal Lake, it pulls up all the listings in Crystal Lake. You get to see pictures of it. So you see the exterior, probably you'll see the interior shots, but it doesn't list on the web, it doesn't list what the address is. And it's not until a day or two prior to the booking, you actually arriving there, that you get a physical address.
I think on VRBO, you can list it with the address, but I think that's kind of like creepy a little bit, so. But some people do ask me where the address is, because they're like, oh, I grew up on William Street, what number is it? And I'll tell them.
Or if you wanted to be in a close proximity to an event that draw you there, you would want to find out that you're actually staying overnight a mile away.
Right. So I do have some people that, so I work with like two medical places. They do rehabilitation for children, and so they come from out of state, out of country. I just had a family from Switzerland come for 2 months, and they go to like Dream Riders in Crystal Lake, and then they go to a chiropractor, and it's like a shared therapy. And so they want to know exactly how far they're going to be, because they're driving 3 times a day to these facilities, so they're how far from Dream Riders, how far from here, and then I give them information or mileage or minutes, how far it is.
Have you been subject to any building citations, operational citations on your facilities?
No.
Do you intend to add any recreational items to the property, a pickleball court or anything along that line?
There is currently a baseball field in the northeast corner. There's like the back, so just like cleaning that up. And then there's a basketball court that has the basketball hoops, but it's very uneven, so I want to just make it be smooth it out again. When I travel with my 3 boys, they have to be exerting energy all the time, and this would be great, because I can just see them run miles around the building. It would be great. So
The area is also known for its bike paths, so you may
Yes.
take that into consideration. That concludes my questions. Thank you.
Ms. Downing?
I'm kind of at a loss. They've said pretty much everything I've had to say. I just happen to know that before it was the Jewish congregation, it was the Montessori school. Now that's going back 40 years.
okay.
To know, and it was so while my daughter was going there to a new place. But it was very nice then and very well kept up.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I really don't have any other questions, except I hope it would work out for you well if this goes through, because if it doesn't, then I don't know what happens. I worry.
Madam Chair, just a couple more from you, please.
Sure.
What are your deposit requirements, and what form of deposit?
When they book it,
Yes.
so you can pay in full when you book it, or they can pay half. And then if it's like over 30 days, I think there's like progression payments. So if you were to book it and you're booking for 3 months, you would pay like a 25%, and then I think you pay the full before you even check in.
Because I'm just looking at, again, this possible party issue that is of concern to me.
Right.
Have there ever been any complaints lodged with Airbnb or VRBO about your facilities?
No.
Any citations, actions, or anything against you or any of your other units
None,
by the cities, county, et cetera?
none.
How about neighbor complaints?
I haven't had any.
That's all I have, thank you.
I just have one question. It looks like there's pretty well good screening around the perimeter of the property. Is it like mature trees and shrubbery and everything that kind of surrounds the back of this property?
There is, because there's farm field behind it with a line of trees. There is a neighbor's fence. I don't know whose fence it is, if it's on that property or theirs. And then I think it goes east and west behind those houses as well, on the northeast side.
So like you border like, looks like 3 residences on the north side of the backyard, I would say.
Right, I believe there's a fence there, but I'm not sure how far it goes there.
If we wanted you to screen that somehow with shrubbery or something, would you be amenable to that? Just to try and create a little buffer between you and those homes?
For sure.
Does staff have any questions?
No questions at this time.
Okay, at this time, any member of the public that would like to ask a question, this will be your opportunity. And again, I'll ask you to come up. You'll have to give your name and address, and then I'll just time you on my phone. You'll have 3 minutes to ask your questions regarding the testimony. Sir, you want to just come up first?
Hi, Neil Erickson. I own the property next door, 8711 Richfield Road. No, the other side, to the west. That's not pictured. I own a working dog kennel. I hold 103 dogs when I'm full. I just wonder what it's going to be like in the summer and the 4th of July.
What the property will be like?
Yeah, I'm just knowing that you're going to be putting a vacation property next to a dog kennel.
Yeah.
That gets pretty loud. I'm just saying. I'm out there at 4:30 every day. The doors are open.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
And then how many people are going to be here at one time? How many people are allowed in the building?
I would say 6 to 10 people. Could be one person though. I don't know who would rent it that big of a place for
Right.
one, but.
We all hear stories, we see these stories online where they get these nice houses and they have a party.
Just questions.
Oh, sorry. What happens when the noise level gets too high and you get alerted? What happens then?
Usually we go out to the property.
Okay.
Because it's usually an internal thing, so it's a little tricky because for cameras, you can't have cameras where people congregate or they're gonna hang out. But I usually have a camera on the driveway because I wanna know when people are on the property. So I'd probably put one here, but like if someone's playing in the yard, like they don't want cameras watching people,
I got you.
know? But the sensors are inside and then, I mean, there is a garage here. But yeah, like, so for 4th of July, because the dogs go crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Mine do too.
right. Well, I mean, your patrons are gonna hear.
Right,
the dogs, You know, it's the only thing. I don't wanna have complaints at 4:30 in the morning. What the hell's going on here?
Like if I put something here, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have properties right now with barking dogs like all day because no one's home.
About 100?
I think they have like 90. No, I'm just kidding. They only have 2, but they're always barking, like when you're in the driveway and then you go inside. So.
Well, my neighbor's here. I get along with most of them.
Yeah.
Well, all of them really.
Yeah, that's good.
But,
So yeah, I don't know what it would be like on 4th of July, but I think most people would be, you know,
Right, just hang
inside
out.
the
I get
house
it, I get it.
or outside somewhere.
yeah, okay. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes. Jasper Wynn, 86.
Wait, please wait till you come up
Oh, okay,
because
sorry.
it's recorded up here.
Might take me a while.
That's all right.
Here's
We're
my-
patient. Okay, that's good.
Jack Irwin, IRWIN, 8609 Madison. Going back to Mr. Erickson, would there be a restriction that no fireworks are allowed by any of your people who come in and stay the night, the week, the whatever? That's
Yeah.
something I feel has to be part of your
Right,
plan.
right.
Because that's what makes his dogs go nuts, which makes my dog go nuts. And that's all you got for the whole weekend.
I would say yes, because I don't even allow candles, because fire hazard scares me, so I don't have matches or candles, or I don't even allow people to do that. But definitely not not explosives, for sure.
One last thing, any idea if this is going to increase the value of the property, therefore raising my taxes? Because I'm right next door to yours.
I wouldn't have that answer.
Would you guys have an answer? Really don't want my taxes going way up.
You don't ask questions of the board, but none of us are
Okay.
experts, you know, and that's.
All right, that's it then. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm James Davis. I live directly next to the church. Lived there for 31 years. Literally about 75 feet from the building in question. So I have a question about you were talking about the fence and you weren't sure if there was a fence that came back there. The fence is broken. There is no fence. There's no border between his house and my house that is secure. There's dead trees and there's the power line that goes to his, or soon hopefully his, property.
You can
The
ask him a question.
Okay.
This is
Is
not
the,
your
are
time
the
to
trees
give
gonna
us
be taken, are
testimony.
the dead trees gonna be addressed that are gonna fall on the power line? We're one storm away from those trees taking on the power line. If you wanted to see some pictures, I got them here, but, are the trees gonna be taken down, and is the fence that is broken there gonna be, repaired, before? I mean, I don't care if we're gonna put, you suggested, some kind of border fence there, so I don't know, you can see where the fence is missing there. So I just wanna know if all that's gonna be fixed. And then the last picture there is a bunch of dead men hanging up in the air. There's a bunch of dead trees and they're all hanging over my property and his property, and it's a big mess behind my garage there.
So I had, I have one property where it's old growth trees and a lot were dead and they kept falling on the power lines and ripping it off the house.
Yeah.
So I called ComEd and they came out and they trimmed it all back, and it looks like, because they're, I think, responsible for a certain amount that's close to the lines.
Yeah,
But
it's
they
a private
trim
line, I
out.
think, though, yeah. Well, it used to be a school years ago. They took care of it up to 79, and then when I moved in there in 93, I took care of it from there on out, and then pretty soon some of them trees just got too big for me to handle, and a lot of them had busted off. One of them fell on my house 4 years ago, and you know, now there's a lot of just stubs sticking up, as you can see from the pictures. And the fence, I don't know if a new fence could be put there. I want to know if the fence is going to be repaired and the trees are going to be taken out. It's the same question I asked when I got up here, so.
Yeah, I could.
Because the power pole is connected to a shared pole in front, so if the trees take his line down, they're going to take my line down too.
Right. Yeah, we can repair it, work together on the tree trimming.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, at this time, we'll move to testimony on behalf of the public, starting with the staff, planning and development department.
Okay, so the subject property has been used as a place of worship by the Henry County Jewish congregation. The zoning of the property is currently A1. A question was asked about why it was A1 and not the E2 as originally proposed by the applicant. When we first met with the applicant, we thought that the E classification was a more appropriate one because we thought the A1 was not a conforming property. Upon further research, we learned that these two parcels were actually generated in their current configuration back in the 1800s. So they predate our zoning code by a significant time period. So therefore, they're considered to be legal non-conforming parcels. You can't have a residence in that configuration. And if you can have the residence, you could potentially have the vacation rental, which is the subject of today's application. Zoning in the area is mixed. There is additional A1 to the east and to the southeast there. It's incorporated to the south. And looking over my chart here, I realized that I had said that property to the west was incorporated, and that actually is an error. Property to the west is the B3 with the kennel as a conditional use for that. And properties to the north are industrial. Again, the surrounding land use is mixed in nature. It is an interesting area with a lot of different things going on. The future land use designation, the applicant had indicated that this particular property was listed as mixed use. This particular property actually is listed as government, institutional, and utilities based on the congregation that had been there. There's also some property to the southeast that's also listed as governmental, institutional, for a church property there. Otherwise, it is correct that it is zoned, or excuse me, future land use designation as mixed use. We did get a email yesterday, I believe it was, from the city of Crystal Lake indicating that they had no objection to the request for a vacation rental at this place. Staff in our report has suggested that 3 conditions be placed upon this property. One is that the conditional use shall expire 10 years from the date of approval by the McHenry County Board. 2, that the conditional use shall substantially conform to the official site plan dated October 23rd, 2024, and that all other federal, state, and local laws shall be met.
So on the conditional use with variation, that's to the southeast of this property, that's the other church?
Yes.
And then the dog kennel to the west is a B3CB?
Correct.
What is the variation for that?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I forgot to look it up. I'm sorry.
Okay. And my other question is then regarding the staff plat review hearing, so Ms. Hanlon's comments dated August 21, 24, that was before you did the research, because at that time she was saying that A1 zoning cannot be used.
Correct.
So that was before you did the research into when these
correct.
parcels were created. Okay. Does anyone else on the board have questions for staff? Okay. At this time, we will go to testimony by the public. So again, any of you that have a comment regarding this request, you have an opportunity to have 3 minutes to state your views on this request. So again, I'll use my timer. Is anyone wanting to give a comment regarding this? Yes, sir. Come on. Again, I need your name and address.
Louis Rabe, represent the property 8505 Church Street. We're the other church that's next door, and we have no objection to this. And we'd like to see it done.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Do you have a closing statement then regarding?
I think that everything has been said. I just wanted to maybe bring home that Brent is an experienced operator in this world of vacation rentals, in particular the Airbnb and VRBO, that he, in those experiences, has had, house rules that are applied to every guest that comes through. And I think the issue of, Brent and I have talked about the issue of noise, of the party issue is always a concern because we do hear terrible things about these Airbnbs, but I think that he's got the controls in place with the noise meters as well as the cameras in the appropriate spot to do all that he can to make sure that that is not an issue that arises. I think that it's, his listings are clear that, that these are to be used for families and that there are no parties. I think Airbnb and VRBO have company-wide policies that you're not renting these places for parties, and there are serious consequences for those that violate those rules, not only from the owners, but as well as from those platforms. So I think that he has done everything that he can to make this a safe and comfortable spot for the families coming as well as the neighbors, because that's key as well. And that's why people choose these sort of vacation rentals, to live in the neighborhoods and to see what it's really like being in this area. And I don't think Brent went into, but a lot of people come and use his places to scope out the area, to move to the area. And so one of the nice parts about using an Airbnb for that is you're living in the neighborhood. You get to see the neighbors and what the community is really like. And I think that he would agree that that's the intent with every one of these buildings.
At this time, then, we'll close the hearing portion of the meeting and we'll move on to the voting portion of this meeting. There are 3 proposed conditions by the staff. Number 1, the conditional use shall expire 10 years from the date of approval by the McHenry County Board. Number 2, the conditional use shall substantially conform to the official site plan dated October 23, 2024. Number 3, all other federal, state, and local laws shall be met. Are there any other proposed conditions?
I have one. It would be to limit or, what's the word I want to use? Darn it. No fireworks, no outdoor.
It's illegal anyway.
I understand, but as part of the use too, it gives him more control and it gives neighbors more control. It doesn't make any difference what they say. Otherwise, the next people who buy the place need to know that that is.
Before we discuss it, let's just see if you have a second.
Okay, maybe not.
Is there a second? The motion fails for lack of a second. Are there any other proposed conditions?
Madam Chair, what about the issue you raised about landscaping on the east side?
Yes, if no one else is going to propose it, yes, I would propose that there is shrubbery planted on the property that borders the 3 residential lots to the east of this property.
That's where the dead trees are that I pointed out, ma'am?
This is not a time for you to speak.
I'm sorry, but that's.
I'll second that.
Okay, so my discussion is just that, that the shrubs would create a little buffer if there is kids playing in the backyard or whatever they might be doing there between that and the residences to the north.
Madam Chairman, I support the concept, but I think for it to have any real effect, we need to be a little more specific as to what's planted and how high they are.
Will you second my motion so we can discuss it?
Yes, I will second your
Okay,
motion.
okay.
I hadn't noticed there wasn't a second, but yes, I support the concept, but I would like some specifics, both as to the height and density, spacing, and requirement to maintain.
Okay, and I'm not an expert on that. I would look to staff to see, like, we have other screening requirements in our zoning ordinance for certain things.
The screening requirements that we have are not as specific as what Charlie is suggesting. You could do something, you could say that you'd like to have shrubs that are planted at a certain height to obtain a certain height within a certain period of time. That would allow them some flexibility to choose product that will achieve that density within a 2 to 5 year period, whatever time period you want to place on that. But we do not have anything that says something specific. So if you want to say something that is planted at 18 inches high to grow to a 4 to 6 foot high within 5 years or something like that, that might be reasonable.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm wondering, we've had a substantial discussion in terms of screening of the solar fields. And there are exhibits that are publicly available for that.
Yeah.
If we could agree on the length of coverage, 100 feet, 200 feet, and use that as a reference point for that. So we'd already have an exhibit, we'd already been publicly tested, and we just agree that the first 200 feet on this site survey reflects the screening requirements that are imposed in a typical solar installation in McHenry County.
You could do something along that lines. I'm also wondering if it's just a visual barrier that you're looking for, if a privacy fence might not achieve and be something that you can easily see is maintained or not maintained.
I would see that as another option.
Yeah, so would I.
Probably easier to put in specifics to a fence versus shrubbery. I don't know. Is there any other discussion on?
How can we say what it is they need if we aren't there to actually look at it and see it and what needs to be done from which side? Because the way I was hearing what was going on with the people, the visitors today, is that there is an area where the fence has come down. Whose fence was it? I don't know. What trees have to come down? On whose side and where are they going? It just creates more
I'm not doing
questions.
anything about trees. I'm
Okay.
just thinking about screening.
Okay, because to me, what I thought we were talking about was screening, and that would be taking care of the fence line. If we're just going to put in some kind of other fence, other kind of screening, because there isn't any.
If I may comment,
Yes.
I think we're getting way too into the tall grass and the
Right.
weeds here. And my opinion is we should leave this up to the property owner and his adjoining neighbors. Let them deal with it in a manner that they find appropriate, and I'll just leave it at that. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Okay, we still need a specific if we're gonna vote on, if we're gonna vote on screening. So,
I'm still, sorry, I'm struggling. Using this aerial map, are we talking about the lot line that is on the south of the 3 homes?
that is correct, that's what I'm proposing.
Just that lot line?
Yes,
So we do have a length and a location,
Yes.
because it's already in the survey. The discussion followed at a point of an either or, and either or would capture the sense, either a privacy screen board on board no higher than 7 feet along that lot line, or landscaping commensurate with the solar standards in the solar field.
I like that wording. Did everybody hear that?
I did.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so it would be a privacy fence or screening similar to what we have on a solar farm.
On the lot line, so identified as.
Yes, on the lot line that is the northern boundary of the backside, the southern boundary of the residences to the east of this property, the 3 residences to the east.
And are we saying similar to, or are we saying such as is?
Similar to the solar farm.
Similar to the solar farms.
Or a privacy fence.
Okay, as long as everybody knows what that is.
It's a public record.
So I'll call,
So,
yes, go ahead.
Okay. Just one clarifying, Mr. Cozen correctly stated that the fence would not be higher than 7 feet because our ordinance only allows up to 6 feet. So.
I would not suggest anything that contradicts the zoning laws of McHenry County.
Okay. So now we all understand.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Roughly how long a distance are we
It's
talking
in the
about?
survey. I left my Peters in the car.
Can you find that on the plat of survey?
Yes.
275 feet.
Yeah. No, that's not.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, I'll call for the vote on proposed condition number 4. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
I'm still a no.
Ms. Donner?
I'm no.
Mr. Kernick?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So condition number 4 is approved 5-2.
Madam Chairman, I move adoption of the conditions as amended.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge, second by Ms. Donner to approve the conditions. Is there any discussion? And I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Yes.
Mr. Kernick?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So the conditions are approved 7-0.
Madam Chairman, I move acceptance of the petition subject to the conditions.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge, second by Ms. Gardner to approve this petition. Discussion, Mr. Eldridge.
Yes, this is a property that has been a school, has been a synagogue and religious school, and is now under contract to a gentleman who wishes to make it into a single-family residence, which he wishes to add to his businesses of short-term rentals, vacation rentals, Airbnb, VRBO sorts of things. It is in a mixed-use, somewhat oddly zoned area in Ridgefield, which is one of the historic neighborhoods, small unincorporated villages that is adjacent to the city of Crystal Lake. The parcels are rather odd shaped, but have existed in their present form 50 or 75 years beyond the existence of zoning in McHenry County. And certainly the contract purchaser cannot be faulted for something that was created well over a century ago. I believe that this is an excellent use for a property like this. I am heartened by the fact that the petitioner is experienced in this type of property and had what seemed to me to be very sensible answers to the questions that concern people about this kind of property. I would certainly urge him to work closely with his adjacent neighbors on both the screening we've required and any other issues relating to the boundary with them. And I have a good deal of confidence that he will do so. I believe that all these standards have been met, and I will support the petition with some enthusiasm.
Ms. Gardner?
I think that this is a good way to use this property. I think it makes a lot of sense, and that it won't just be sitting there waiting for another church or congregation of some sort to come along, and that it will be used well. And from what you've said, maintained well. It seems to me that you would be a good neighbor, that you would, listen to your neighbors and, see their concerns and work with them. And on the other hand, it seems like you've got some really good neighbors too. So this seems like a really good place for you and a good thing for them. And so I do support it. I believe the zoning is appropriate here. Thank you.
Mr. Cozen?
Thank you. My surprise, but also appreciation of the public record, is that the applicant did not bring the vacation rental to us, but rather it is already established by the county in the zoning ordinance. But the applicant did bring to us a well-qualified and a well-substantiated past practice and a pledge of current practice. And for that, I support the petition.
Mr. Schnabel.
Other than condition number 4, I agree with everything that's been said here today. I would also just like to add something. Being that this has been a religious-owned property over many years, I'd be very surprised if it wasn't tax exempt all these years. And now that it's converting to private use, it should be taxed at a rate of non-owner occupied, which would be higher than a traditional residential occupied home. And I think that's just another good reason to approve this proposal. That's all I have.
Ms. Donna.
Excuse me for the question between section 4, as opposed to what I was thinking of as it was the other side. So I apologize on that end, but otherwise I'm okay with this, and I have nothing else to say, because I'll just stick.
Mr. Kernick.
Just a couple comments. Given the hodgepodge of uses surrounding the area, the applicant has also allayed my concerns about this, turning into a party building. And in view of his expressed willingness to work with the neighbors as far as landscaping and the kennel matters, I'm in favor of this as well.
And I would agree with my colleagues. I think the applicant has demonstrated success in doing this and wants his property still good, and so I'm sure he will work with the neighbors to correct any issues with landscaping, and I think it certainly meets the standards in the ordinance for a conditional use request, and so I'm in favor. So I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge.
Yes.
Ms. Gardner.
Yes.
Mr. Cozen.
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel.
Yes.
Ms. Donner.
Yes.
Mr. Kernick.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so this will go to the county board 7-0 approving this request. This time hearing is closed. Thank you all.
Onward we go.
Yes.
JT.